When did you realize that being the cool girlfriend was a load of sh*t?
Young. As soon as childhood friends who were boys started getting interested in girls and hearing how some of them talked about any human being in that way, and I know they're a POS.
As soon as I became the cool wife.
When I got broken up with anyway, I had thought being chill and cool was a way to protect myself from that, but it didn't even work, so why bother being inauthentic and putting up with I don't like?
After I watched Gone Girl. When you have to be your partner's mom in practice, that is exhausting.
When I got taken advantage of, being chill and cool and never starting an argument means I never stood up for myself or set boundaries.
Watched Gone Girl when I was young and before I got into a relationship, so I never tried to be the cool girlfriend. Also, I'm an only child and only grandchild, so to say that I am a high-maintenance girlfriend would be an understatement.
When I realized it was an attempt to manipulate me into expecting less from them. I'd rather not be a girlfriend than try to be a cool one.
When I came to terms with the fact that cool, in my case, actually meant doormat, no boundaries, no standards, and was doing a lot of damage to my self-worth.
At 15, when I started spending time in feminist and woman-centered online spaces and realized the internalized misogyny and low self-respect behind wanting to be the cool girl. Fortunately, I hadn't had a boyfriend yet, and since I educated myself while being single, I never had to go through the embarrassing experience of trying to be the cool girlfriend.
After 20 years of marriage, I'm slow.
Same here, being low maintenance and super chill actually just made me a doormat that he could toss in the trash when he was done with me. That.
After I had lost my entire identity to be his girlfriend, I was seriously suicidal because he had alienated me from all my friends and was working on doing that with my family. I had no hobbies, no ambitions, no idea what I liked, and no idea who I even was. I couldn't eat regularly for like 6 months and lost a ton of weight. When I wasn't at work, I was on the floor of my apartment in tears. I wanted to go back to him because at least I was someone when I was with him. On my mother's encouragement, I went back to school to rediscover myself. I love who I am now and feel in touch with myself. I am in the process of wrapping up my first degree and beginning my second and will graduate near the top of my class. I recently found myself in a situation where I was tempted to give it all up for a guy again, but I am stronger now, so I resisted. Being the cool girlfriend who goes along with whatever he wants. Sometimes this means you will have to break your own heart but stay strong. Be cool in your own way, and if dudes don't like it, they're not the one for you.
I did the same, and I wish I hadn't. Standing up for yourself and having boundaries is critical. I know that now.
When he dumped me anyway after I made the relationship, anticipating his needs my whole identity.
I did everything he asked, from hobbies to acts to buying him things. All of it. Things that made me uncomfortable. Things I said no to at first and then changed to a yeah, okay, I guess, when he cajoled me into it. I tried not to be too vocal when the things we did caused me physical pain, because he was clearly enjoying it. I paid the deposit on his apartment, bought all of his furniture, did his laundry and dishes, cleaned and vacuumed his place, and we didn't even live together. I was driving 2 hours every weekend to be a bang. Cheated on me with a man while I was in the next room and then left me for said fella. When the gentleman in question was like, lol, no, I don't want a relationship. I just thought with your girlfriend in the next room was hot. He tried to get back together with me. Something in me just popped and I said, why the fuck would I want to do that? And hung up the phone before I consciously registered what was happening.
Men use chill, cool girl, as in, a girl who won't mind whatever I do to her and others, so yep.
Good for you. Call it high maintenance. Call it whatever you want. I call it looking out for yourself and putting yourself first. This is coming from someone who spent years putting others first and naively thinking they'd return the favor. Nope. If you don't make yourself a priority, no one else will.
That is so true, I can totally relate.
I learned from two abusive elder brothers that being the cool little sister that took all the shit rolls downhill without having a negative reaction was a losing and rigged game that only got the time I left my home. I was aware of all sorts of ways to abuse someone and convince them that sensitivity, or being girly, or nerdy, was unacceptable, and I should apologize for being me at all times by not being offended and by deferring to the older, stronger M. I was awesome. Still am.
When no matter how many times I showed up as the cool girlfriend, or the cool wife, I was still labeled delusional. I particularly enjoy the responses I'm seeing with regards to that making permissible otherwise unacceptable viewed as the chill, lax is a crock of because we can be the sweetest, most loving, encouraging, and fun to be around creatures, but at the end of the day don't we deserve to set boundaries and have realistic expectations of how we should be treated equally so? Sexism at its finest, ladies. Wake up.
After my N*th casual dating disappointment, I've always been a major fan of the cool girl monologue, and much like her, I was critical about women who lost themselves to the men they were dating, but after reflecting on my experiences the last year or so, I realized it was me. I think I started my dating journey with a strong sense of independence, and a solid sense of self. But the more you date all these awful, disappointing men, the more desperate you become to get picked as more than someone's buddy. It gets so depressing trying to play certain aspects up, play them down so you can figure out whatever fits some guy's cool girlfriend fantasy. The thing that stops his eyes from glazing over, and lets him see you. Honestly, men, for the most part, are not interested in women in their own right. Men are interested in women as periphery characters in their life. They see them as supporting cast. It feels like the onus is on you to prove your worth. It's even more disappointing when you realize that guys either see you as someone to or someone to date, marry, and you have a very short window to convince them you're the latter. So sometimes, I felt that instead of being me, I was trying to win a call back, to play the part of girlfriend, which is why I had to take a break. In the process, you stop remembering what makes you interesting, unique, and valuable, outside of what men think of you.
It's a little silly, but did anyone else read The Clique, and subsequent series, by Lacey Harrison? The books would seem horribly dated now. They were definitely, of the time, in the private school kids in Westchester County from super wealthy families. Big drama, girl, boy, middle school social pyramid stuff. After a convoluted series of events, the main characters were spying on their crushes in emotional sensitivity class, in order to gain information to better line up with the boys' ideals. One of the boys talked about how he didn't like fussy, high-maintenance girls who worry about things like calorie counts and their makeup running. So the girl who had a crush on him, who actually read a lot like someone with an eating disorder most of the time, went out of her way to be cool girl material, acting like one of the guys, eating whatever junk food they ate, not worrying about her appearance, laughing at the same crude jokes. Within a few weeks, they overheard the boy she had a crush on talking about how gross she was, that he wanted a girlfriend who actually acts like a girl. To say nothing of the fact that the rest of them had been slowly noticing that their friend wasn't acting at all like herself. Most of the drama went right over my head, but that little bit stuck with me. I think the unfairness of it, not only was she ignoring things that were important to her and changing herself to someone's ideals, the boy in question mocked her behind her back for who she became by trying to be what he had wanted in the first place.
When I was sat there listening to my ex-BF go on about women's looks and bodies, rating them out of 10 as they came onto this dating show we were watching, I told him I found it disrespectful, and he got so pissy, saying I was just jealous because I'm only in 7/8, and that he wouldn't lie just because I was his. I realized in that moment at 17 years old that being the cool GF now I'm just chill, with communicated boundaries and mutual love. Much better.
Great question. I love that I can pinpoint this moment nearly 17 years later. I was the cool girl, and put up with everything. We lived in a 3-decker apartment where we were on the top floor, and below us were all his friends in the apartments below. They partied all the time and he joined them. There was alcohol and usually drugs involved. But I was cool. I didn't say anything. I was a good silent wife. One night, my husband was at work, and I was in bed with the babies. It was 3 a.m. and the party downstairs just got louder and louder. And then they started throwing things down the hall stairs. Ironing board, iron, folding chairs, etc. For no reason except that they were wasted. Obviously this woke both babies. I came out and yelled at him holding my 1-month-old and went back to bed. The next morning, I get up to put the TV on for the kids and I'm exhausted and they had taken scissors and cut the cord to my cable. On purpose. I went down and called them out and they laughed in my face. That was the last time I was the cool girl. My husband ended up losing it and kicking him out when he got home. It's almost 2 decades later and some of these men are only having children now. I see them occasionally and they look equally ashamed of their past behavior and infuriated that I stood up for myself, still years later. Horrible people. And that's all you end up surrounded with when you're the cool girl. Terrible men who are angry and have no regard for you as a human. Sorry, didn't mean this to be a book, but it was so cathartic.